This is an add-on to Module 4, and today I'm going to talk to you about the steps you need to take to get a children's book ready to either publish or to gift. I'm just going to tell you the things that I learned along the way since I'm getting ready to publish my first children's book. Now, I wrote my book probably 16 years ago, and I based it on a story about my daughter Tessa, and hopefully if you've gotten through most of this course, you've already uncovered many stories that would make great children's books. But mine happens to be about Tessa's challenge with speech when she was very young. She was delayed in her talking, and she also was delayed in her pronunciation, which means she said a lot of things really interestingly. So many times people were confused with what she was trying to say, but the neat thing was that Tessa never got irritated with this. If someone didn't know what she was talking about, she would just laugh, and she would come over to me and she would be like, tell them what I'm trying to say. And so I had come up with this little catchy rhyme, and it's she wiggles, she giggles, she knows it's okay. She asks her smart mommy, what am I trying to say? And so that's the repeat rhyme in my book, and we go through different scenarios where Tessa's asking for something or she's telling a friend something, and I am her interpreter. And so I was really confident that this was a catchy little story for probably 2 to 4 year olds, maybe 5 year olds, depending on how the speech problems are going. And so I put it together in this crazy little book that I had made at Walgreens for Tessa's graduation with my very own illustrations. And obviously I'm not an illustrator, and this is definitely not sale worthy or print worthy or even gift worthy for somebody other than Tessa. But I didn't want the story to stay in the filing cabinet. So, if this only went to her and this is all I was ever going to do, at least she would have her story documented about the time in her life when she couldn't pronounce anything. So, fast forward now, I've already published one book, and there's always like the what's next. So I had this book waiting. So I thought, well, I'm going to just do some research and figure out how hard it would be to move ahead with a children's book. And it goes with my theme of writing from memory and preserving your family memories and being your family storyteller. So I thought, I'm staying within the same theme. This is going to be good. So I knew that I was going to need a professional illustrator. I could not move forward with this project without it, because for a children's book, it's so important. So I knew at first I had to set a budget, and I didn't have a big budget because, frankly, I'm a starving artist. But my husband had sold some metal, and he had gifted me $500 and said, put it towards your writing project, your next writing project, your writing career, whatever. Just use this money to do whatever you need to do. So I decided that that would have to be my budget. So I thought, well, if I could find someone to help me illustrate between $400 and $500 a children's book, which it needs to be 32 pages long, and my size that I chose was 8.5 by 8.5 because I like that square look, and then I would be great. This would be perfect. So I took a little webinar, and they recommended using artists from Fiverr. It's Fiverr, and the theory is that you can hire somebody for $5 to draw something for you. And I'm going to kind of cut this short. I tried it. It didn't cost $5. It cost like $30. I had 2 different artists, and even though their portfolios look great, they did not produce what I wanted. I'm not saying it wouldn't work for somebody else, but it would not work for me. Number one, both of them were from different countries, so that just made it a little more complicated. One, there was the always having to translate things. So anyways, I tried it. For me, it didn't work. So I did the next thing I could do, and I put it out on Facebook saying, I'm looking for a book illustrator. I have a limited budget. And, I got replies. Like right away, I got replies. And some of them were very young, which I'm not against, encouraging children and young people to pursue their dreams, especially in the art, realm. But I also knew that this was really important to me, and I didn't want to work with a young person that would be crushed if I didn't love their work. I needed to work with someone who was old enough to be able to process that without taking the criticism and damaging their spirit forever. I just couldn't live with myself if I did that. So some of them, even though they were good, they were not my first picks. And as it turned out, I ended up with a friend of Tessa's. Her name is Hannah, and she really only knew her through other people. And I had already seen her work. I had visited her Etsy shop before, long before I ever was looking for a book illustrator. And she's a fabulous artist. And I thought, oh, if I could only afford her. And as it turned out, she was excited about doing a book project. She had never done that. And I was excited because I knew that her ability was there. You know, her ability was so good, you know, so great. She was so gifted that I knew that we would probably be able to work well together. And her style was one I could work with as well. So you'd think that, you know, she was excited, I was excited, it would be smooth sailing, and, you know, we would nail this thing in my dream of a month or two, but that didn't happen. And it didn't happen because, one, I was not really realistic about how long the process would take, just like that course that said I could just hire someone from 5R said, oh, in 30 days you'd have it done. I wanted to believe that, but in actuality, nothing is done in 30 days, as you probably know already. But anyways, we moved ahead together, and she sent me back her first drawings, and let me tell you, they were fabulous, but they were so detailed that I thought, there's no way I can have her do these detailed drawings for me. I can't afford to pay her for what they would be worth. And I just figured it would take probably a year or two to get them done because they were so detailed. And then I thought, my audience is 2 to 4 year olds. I mean, that's my target audience right there. So I don't really need to have all that detail, even though it was fabulous. So I had to like talk her back down into something more simple. And I'd already gone through many children's books on Amazon. I created a folder with things I liked. You know, they had to be a little whimsical, colorful, line drawing, lots of white. So she had seen things that I liked, so that would kind of, you know, steer her in the right direction to, you know, get us moving along with my project. And then I went one day to a used bookstore here, McKay's, and I looked through all the children's books, and I, you know, tried to come up with what caught my eye right off the bat that would fit the story that I wanted to tell. And I came across this little book here, and I just loved all the white. I loved the black line drawings. But what I really loved is how the author worked with the words and the fonts. I felt like she also made a statement with that. And because I was not paying a lot, I could not expect Hannah to do all the coloring in for me and the words and the font. She thought she was going to do it all, and I was like, no, Hannah, that would just be too much. I just want you to do simple drawings for me and let me dress them up. So we struggled for several weeks back and forth, and it was even hard with her, and she's what I consider a professional artist. It was hard for us to end up on the same page because it was new to her and it was new to me. And our communication over email wasn't all that great. So at one point we did end up FaceTiming so that we could just hear each other's heart and I could explain to her what I was looking for. And so then I realized she also didn't have any idea how the process really worked. And because she had never done it before. So because I really wanted to invest in her as someone just starting out and I wanted it to benefit me, I did the research and figured out how do other illustrators go about doing a book project. And I learned that, you know, first of all, they're given the manuscript, which I did send to her, and I let her know what would be on the right side of the page, what would be on the left side of the page, what would be this blue is what would be the 2-page spread, so that the pictures would be cohesive, and the, you know, because I would be having words running across the page. So I sent that to her. I also sent her the pictures, you know, that inspired me on Amazon and whatever, and I sent her, you know, pictures of that I took from this book here. But then I read that the artists work from storyboards. And so I said to her, could you somehow create a storyboard of, you know, of my book and just do rough sketches so I could see what you think should be on those pages. And I gave her a few ideas of what I thought would go well on those pages. And so she sent back this drawing. And she said to me, that was the best thing to offer to her. Once she did that, then we both had a very clear vision of where the project was going, what needed to be done, how the pictures would lay out together. This was by far the most helpful thing in doing the book from Hannah's perspective, and pretty much from mine as well. After we did the storyboard, she started then, knocking off the pages. And like I said, plain black and white drawings for me. And then I had to learn Photoshop and Illustrator and some other things to be able to add the color to my pages. Then the best thing that I did was I made this Tessa's Tangled Tongue, and you're probably seeing this backwards, but it's the mock-up book, and I did it as if it was the regular book. I numbered the pages, and I originally, I printed out the words of every page, glued it on there, and then I put her original just sketches on the page so I knew where we were going. And then as she sent them to me, and as I finished the pages, I added the color, I added the text to them, then I cut them out and I added them to the page. And the reason this is so helpful for me, or was so helpful, is because I didn't want to repeat patterns and colors too much. I wanted to see what was going to land next to each other. And so this book, oh my goodness, this has been a lifesaver. And in the front of the book is where I kind of have notes on my fonts and my sizes and the colors that I use so that everything is consistent throughout the book when I'm working on it. The other little tidbit I'm going to share with you is if you decide to do something like this, make sure that the fonts you choose are ones that can be used commercially. I have downloaded many fonts. I've bought fonts from different places, and a lot of them give you permission to use for any project for personal use on your blogs. But if you are going to put them in something for sale for commercial use, then you have to buy a license for those. So make sure whatever you choose, don't do a lot of work and then find out that you cannot have a license to use that font. The same way with the textures and the patterns and the colors that I used on my pages. Those are like scrapbook pages that you could buy in a set. And I had to really look to find some that I could buy that also gave me the commercial license, because I don't want to be in trouble once I get into publishing and find out that, oh, you used somebody's pattern there and you didn't have permission to do that. So I'm just giving you the heads up on the front end to do that. And then I'm just going to give you a little glimpse of the cover where Hannah and I landed. Again, she sent me just this picture of the girl, and I've added the colors and the words, anything else that you see in other than just the drawing of little Tessa there, I have done myself, and I've had to learn how to do that myself. And, we may talk about that in another video. But I'm really, really, really excited about this project. The pages are beautiful. Hannah did a wonderful job. It ended up to be a great partnership. She's agreed to have her name on the front cover, which, I didn't know if she would or not, if she wanted it there or not, but she has. And so hopefully sometime in November, that's going to go up and, be available for the Christmas season. I'd love to be able to promote it then. And I'd love to see that y'all are starting something too, so that next Christmas at this time, you could have some books uploaded ready to sell. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope that if you have any other questions, you can, shoot me an email, add it to our Facebook group, and let me know. And I'm sure if it's something I've already worked through, I'm happy to let you know. I hope this encourages you, and I hope it was helpful.